Slightly different one today. I really need to put that away. A slightly different one for today. What you have before you is a couple of Tomy trains. Don't know what they are? I don't blame you. They're not extremely well known. They were basically the first attempt at a Western Tomy brand, at least for Thomas and Friends. See, we didn't actually get the Play-Rail derived stuff till a bit later, I believe in about 97, 98. In the meantime, we had this. These have kind of stood the test of time, and you'll see why in a minute, but definitely not very common nowadays. And because they are called Tomy trains and not like Play-Rail or anything like that, it's kind of hard to look for them on eBay. So even when you do find them, there's definitely a lot out there, but just finding them's hard. Slightly weird explanation over. These are not actually from Thomas-based Tomy trains. These are instead from the more generic Tomy trains, which I mean in of themselves they're kind of a weird design. This one uses, say for instance, Lego-esque pieces on it. This one doesn't. This is a 92 Tomy train as well. Don't know what year this one is, probably a bit of a later one. Either way, really, really weird. So what's the go with these two? Well, simply put, this one is running. However, it doesn't work. And that's because it's missing a few of the internal gears. See, I bought these as part of a lot that had a couple of different trains, and this one was in pieces. This one was complete, it doesn't have the switch. So we're basically going to swap over some components today. Just try to get at least one running, although I might go check my parts bin, I might have some spares. Also, I don't think that's meant to look like that. Well, let's open her up. That's good, we've at least got all the gears. Also, these things are an utter pain in the ass to get apart because there's just so many bloody screws. Frankly, these things are a mechanical nightmare. There's just so many gears. It makes it a real pain in the ass to work on. So, what's missing from this one? Well, we're missing a few different gears. Firstly, we're missing this gear here. This connects the motor to the rest of the mechanism. We're also missing this gear here, and this allows for what you could argue is Tomy Train's party piece. These are able to reverse direction. Now, it works through the use of a metal rod in here, which we'll see when I clean up some of these gears to swap over. Also, sadly, this gear is cracked. Now, unlike on Tomy ones, I tend to just let it go. Partly because these don't tend to rotate as much, and I mean the reality is these are more display pieces than they are operating pieces, and trying to source replacement parts is basically impossible. That's at least my way of thinking about it. You can see the mechanism more clearly here if I remove the motor. You'll see that you basically push this metal rod from side to side and it'll change the direction. It also works off this piece here, which if you've ever taken one of these apart before, you know if this piece springs out, you are never finding that spring again. These are a little bit of a pain in the ass if you can't tell. I've decided to try a few different things here. Now firstly, this gear was also cracked. So I thought, alright, it uses the same amount of teeth as your standard gear that's used in these motors. So let's try and give it a shot. I also replaced the drive gear here, which is usually like this, or is actually often made of metal, with the same drive gear you find in one of these motors. So we're going to see what happens. I'm not 100% confident, but I'm curious. That was a pain in the ass. Now, I cannot understate, these things are a pain in the ass to put back together. Simply because there's so many fucking gears. This is the rough mechanism, the way it should be laid out. But bear in mind, there's also like some of these that have metal gears. It's really odd. Like I said, this has got a fair few broken gears, so I guess we'll see how it runs. I'm not 100% confident. I've heard it running with just this on, but yeah, it's kind of dodgy. We do need to find a coupling though. Other than that, she's good to go. So, I guess I better lube her up and then we'll go find one. Alright, let's go find a coupling. Now, coupling's a little bit of a pain in the ass. See, I don't have too many of the Tomy Train's carriages, which is typically where I get the couplings from. I think there might be one more in here. But I believe that one There it is. It's a troublesome truck. Which, yeah, I ain't stealing the coupling from that. Let's go look somewhere else. You know, I'll be damned. I actually thought I'd check here first, and it turns out I actually have a few spare. The reality is, though, I don't get many of these. Because these are so rare already, parts, not really easy to get. That's why, actually, going forward, if you buy one of these off my store, which I don't know if you know, I sell a fair few of these, I fix them up and sell them. If you buy one off my store, you can option them, if you send me a message, to not have this coupling. Instead, I'll swap it in for your standard eye coupling. That is just your normal one off one of these. And if you do that, I'll give you $5 off, because honestly, that's about what I think these couplings are worth. Just slot it in the back, and then I can put this back together. With one caveat, and this is actually something I'd really recommend you do in the off chance you end up getting one of these and you want to service it. When you're going to put this piece back on, flick the switch to on. I don't know why, but this mechanism in here that allows the engine to turn on and off likes to get stuck. So if you have it in the off position when you screw back together, it requires a lot of force to push it on. Whereas, if you do it now, it doesn't have that problem. They're weird. Well, she's all back together. Let's give her a test. There she runs. You see here, change direction. So you may be wondering what's up with the wheel set, and unfortunately, a lot of these have had their plastic wheel sets begin to basically just degrade. Sadly, it's just the way that these things are now, and especially your Thomases, your Edwards, and your Gordons, again, plastic they used on those is starting to get fairly brittle. My Edwards gone that way, unfortunately. But again, not a problem with the colours of green or red. This is fairly solid, even though it is also fairly hard plastic. Now, I fixed up a few red ones before, but I've never really had the honour of doing a green one, so I might actually marry this green body to this chassis. I'll just have to give it a bit of a clean up first. I will note that to make this job easier, you can unscrew the roof, as well as unscrew the funnel. And actually, you can also unscrew the front. And in case you ever wonder what a naked Tomy train looks like, who the fuck's wondering that? And there you have it, a restored Tomy train. Let's reverse. Doesn't run the best. I'll probably end up keeping it, to be honest. I don't like selling substantially broken products. So, yeah. But to be fair, I kind of like these, and I kind of collect them. Not as much as, say, Wooden Railway, but they're neat. And they're not something I see every day. And honestly, the fact they can go in reverse is kind of neat too. I'll probably end up scrapping this one. I mean, the only part that's really shot is this, but even then, I might keep it. I might be able to replace the switch on these one day. Besides, you can also take all these terminals off anyway, and salvage them for laser. I'll even keep the wheel set, because even though it's cracked, most of them are. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and see you in the next one.